Perfect. Perfect then. So welcome everyone. Welcome everyone to the session where we're going to have discuss how exactly to transit from a service company to a product-based company. So we have Dhanush with us, who have recently transited from one of the service company to Siemens Digital Industries Software Limited. So very recently, if I'm correct. So welcome Dhanush. Welcome to the session.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Perfect, Anush. So I hope, today the session is all about how you have made this transition from your earlier company to this current company and what was your journey all about. So that's what
Yeah.
we'll be discussing mostly about that. And also we'll, at the end of the session, right, we'll be taking up some of the question and answer questions also from the people who are actually preparing for those interviews and who are actually attending these interviews, right? So
Yes.
that's what we'll be doing this today. So just wanted to start with it, probably a quick question I just wanted to ask you. I'm just curious, what is the time span did you take? When did you decide that you need to transit to a product company? And when did you crack the interview? Like, what is the time, length of the time you have taken as such?
Around I think 6, 7 months, I guess. Preparation with all cracking the interviews and all the things. Totally
Mhm.
with preparation, I'm saying, because I
Perfect,
started the process in August and then basically ended up in job in Feb.
perfect. It took almost 6 to 7 months, like since you
Yeah.
realized that you need to move to a product company, and then you started your preparation, planning, and all, and then till the cracking of the interview, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And all this happened during this lockdown phase, if I'm correct.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's great. That's great. That's interesting. Perfect, Dhanush. So just wanted to, to start with, right? Probably give a brief introduction to the audience as well about you, like what exactly is your college and what are the companies you're working with and all, so that we can
Yeah.
start discussing on
Yeah.
that ideally.
So hello everyone. A very good evening to all. So I have completed my engineering from Thadomuchani Engineering College, which comes under the Mumbai University. There I was a part of few committees, and in fact one committee which I established. The main goal of that committee was to organize the first hackathon in my college, which I did it successfully, and I was rewarded with the leadership award. And through campus placements, I got the offer in Atos, and then I worked there about a year, and then I am currently working as a software engineer at Siemens Digital Industries. Yeah.
Great, great. So maybe before we start, right, I just wanted to know and understand what is the major difference that you must have observed, or what is the major reason why you have thought that you need to transit from service to product company?
So the major reason which I transit from service to product-based company is that there the growth and learning stuff, basically you have a set of tools which you need to work as per the requirements. There is a fixed deadline, you need to do fixed work, right? And then in product based company the learning is more. So basically, if I can say, it is in a service based company there's a work is monotonous, and basically in product based it is focused more with the innovation. So you, as per the innovation, you get to learn more and more stuff.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And got it. And that's when you realize that while you're working at a service company, you realize that okay, for your
Yeah.
career growth of the next prospect, right, you had to move to the product company basically.
Yes.
Right, right. Perfect. And what is your experience so far? Like, I hope you have joined it. So it's been almost 2 months since you joined
Yes.
the
Yes.
Siemens.
Yeah.
How is your experience so far? And
Yeah,
can you give
it
me a
is
brief
good.
idea on?
So first, basically, every company generally it is training phases there. Then basically they train you, and then basically you get the task and all. So it is a good phase going on.
Got it, got it. And any major product? Can you mention about what is the major product Siemens does work on right now as such?
Many products are there, so I cannot reveal that thing. So yeah.
Sure, sure, definitely. Definitely, Dhanush. That's perfect. So let's start with the roadmap. What you have done in the first 6 to 7 months, right, for your interview preparation journey, right? Can you give a
Yes.
brief idea, like how did you plan for the first 2 months, and what exactly you worked in the first 2 months?
Okay. So first, data structures and algorithms, which is the base. Everyone will tell the same thing. The data structures algorithms. So my idea was there to pick one. Basically, concept was there. I had taken a course from Coding Ninjas only. So the concept was there, and then basically I had to learn that thing and then basically implement basically 10 to 15 problems of that concept, suppose stacks, queues, arrays, linked lists, many topics, graphs. So that way I practiced in the
Mm-hmm.
first few months, and then basically I transformed it to learning the web development, HTML, CSS. Then the going towards the Moin stack, I preferred the Moin stack. Many stacks are there, but I preferred the Moin stack. So then basically I learned this stuff, and then I started developing the major projects using this thing. And side by side, what I was doing when I completed my data structures,
Mm-hmm.
and then I switched over learning web. But I was keeping data structures in my hands only, because if you don't keep data structures in your hand, it is mostly the chance that you will lose it, and again you have to relearn it. More time will be consumed. So what I did was that practice was that when I completed DS and then I started web, I made one thing in a day, that I will practice one problem daily. Every day I will practice one problem, and then I will do weekly contest, and also side by side web development, learning, and then making the projects.
Got it. Got it. So, I mean, as if I understand, right? I mean, as you also mentioned, DS and algo, like data structures and algorithms, are very important while preparing for the interview. And the practice of it is very crucial for cracking the product company interviews, also, if I'm correct.
Yes, correct.
Definitely. And that's how you actually decided that initially you started, I mean, strengthening your concepts and whatever the basic gaps or whatever you felt that you have, you try to strengthen that first of all in the first 2 months. And then on a constant basis, you used to practice on questions basically like for the next 4 to 5 months, basically.
Yes, yes.
Perfect, perfect. So let's probably talk a bit more on the data structures and algorithms. Do you think any specific topics or any data structures and algorithms? Because if I go into the data structures, right, it tends to ask. I mean, people tend to go into very depth of if it as well. Can you
Mhm.
define some boundaries around it? Like what is the ideal depth and what are the ideal boundaries around it?
So, as if anyone wants to start it, so it is basic arrays, stacks,
Hmm.
queues, linked lists, then graphs are there, trees are there. So, basically, boundaries are there. If you want to set the boundaries, you can set it, but there are no boundaries as such. Because if you
Okay.
go in depth and if you learn more things, that will be beneficial for you also, not only as per the cracking the interviews or solving the problems, but as per the whole perspective, as it improves the problem solving skills. So try to means the major topics which I told, it is the same which I told, but if you want to learn, that will be beneficially overall. It will be beneficial for everyone.
Got it. Got it. So as you said, right? I mean, initially basics you need to strengthen that basically in the first 2 months or 1 month.
Yes.
First of all, strengthen that, and keep practicing the questions that will skill up people basically for. It's not only for the interviews, but more on the problem solving, or
Yes.
even if they are cracking the interview or not, set apart for that. But at least the problem solving skills and logical skills has to be improved as such while
Yeah.
working on the questions. Absolutely, that's a good suggestion, Dhanush. Absolutely. But I'm
Yeah.
just curious. One thing you mentioned, right? I mean, you used to solve a problem on a daily basis, if I'm correct. At
Mhm.
least one problem on a daily basis. I'm just curious, like having already had a job in hand and working at a service company, right? How you used to manage that? Like, any
Yeah.
tips on that?
So basically, what the thing was that I divided my day as per the schedule, and as I was in a service-based company, so service-based company mostly tends to give you shifts sometimes, shifts, working in
Mm-hmm.
shifts. So I was given mostly in a month, there was sometimes night shift, day shift, evening shift, and afternoon shift also. So I was basically going into that shifts period only. But what I made it sure that suppose 9 hours a day of my work, office work, 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours will be given to this part, which is the learning of interviews and preparation of that. And other than that, I was also doing a TA ship with Coding Ninjas to improvise my data structures and algorithm skills. So 2 hours additional. So 14,
Mm-hmm.
15 hours in a day, which I was giving. And the thing which was I was doing to manage my productivity and managing it all. So I basically I was not using the social media apps and everything, because I wanted to transform early and I had the dedication and the focus to do it. So only talking to some specific people in my group and family. That's it.
Got it. Got it.
Was my schedule. So it helped me to manage the day.
Absolutely. That's really like, I mean, that's where I can see that the hard work had paid off eventually. That's where you were able to place in that company. Perfect. So just to summarize, right? I mean, whatever you mentioned, like ideally, just to give an understanding to the audience as well, like 2 hours you used to practice on your own, basically, like you used to work on DSA algo problems and whatever it is, web dev or projects, whatever
Absolutely.
it is on that, as per the schedule, you used to work on that. Whereas 2 hours, TAship is more like helping others to solve their doubts, and it's more of
Yeah, debugging
you
skills.
actually sharing your knowledge, if I'm correct,
Yeah.
right?
So that
Perfect.
basically in TAship improvised my DSA skills also. Basically, I was going to that depth of problem, basically where the queries and doubts were there, which I had also not think about that thing. That
Got
problem
it.
is possible in that way, some other way.
Got
And
it.
during
Got it.
weekends, I used to do basically the practice, basically my learning 8 to 9 hours.
Got it. Weekends are the one of the crucial areas. Well, like given that, I mean, weekends are you have good amount of time. You're used to spend that time to learn for yourself, basically.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And yes, as we discussed, right, in the first 2 months, you focused majorly on the DSA, and also all through your journey, also you focused on the data structures and algorithms. That's absolutely interesting. Other than that, web development, like how did you plan for the web development part? Can you give some more details on that?
So in Coding Ninjas only the course was there of full stack web development. So
Mm-hmm.
first I did started with at the topics of HTML, CSS, then basically the front end part, and then they taught us about the React JS, which is a front end, and then
Mm-hmm.
back end MongoDB is there, SQL we can use. So that part by part I was learning, collecting the data and understanding and trying to implement it side by side, because only learning and taking it didn't help anyone. So side by side, whatever is thought, I used to implement it, and then basically taking the ideas, what I want to do, taking some reference of some projects, I then started developing projects of this MERN stack.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So, I mean, one of the reason, I mean, if my understanding is correct, right, projects and creating your portfolio is also going to play a very good role for interviews or for you to shift to the product companies, if I'm correct.
Yes, yes.
So, any suggestions on that? Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure you've gone to through a structured course and all, but do you suggest people to work on any other projects, like any open source projects or any other projects as such, while learning
Yeah,
Merlin Stack?
definitely. People should work on projects. There are many open sources tools available, many open sources sites available where you can provide your contribution. So you
Mm-hmm.
can try there. But first, you need to clear all your fundamentals, learn in a structured way, and
Mm-hmm.
then basically start developing projects and even contribute to open source if you get time.
Got it. Got it. Absolutely. I mean, ideally, similar to DSA, probably I would say, ideally, clear your basics, be strong with your basics first of all, and then on top of it, for the web development, work on the projects or, I mean, whatever the open source contributions or whatever is required, right? Gradually build your portfolio. Like it could be your GitHub profile or it could be your resume or
Yeah.
whatever it is. Like gradually improve on that, if I'm correct.
Two things were there basically in resume. Suppose deploy the projects. One thing I can mention: deploy the projects and then basically post it on GitHub also, so the code can be reviewed and deployed. Any interviewer or anything, anyone can go and see your live demo of the project, what and all you have made.
Absolutely. Now, given that you mentioned, right, deployed the projects, I mean, even the hiring managers do specifically look at that whether someone has deployed the project or not just run it in their laptop and left it as it, but deploy the project. Now, just
Mhm.
wanted to understand, like, I mean, can you mention like what are the important things you have ensured in your profile? I mean, because the first roadblock, right, for any person, right, to get that selected with their resume, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a very first prior step before going into the interview and all. So, can you give some idea? Like, can you throw some more light on what exactly you have made on your resume or you have worked on basically?
Yeah, definitely. So basically, as you only told that first step is our resume. So as everyone is knowing about it, it is our first impression to the company, what we are making, what we are showing them. It is the resume. So basically, first thing I will recommend on the resume, it is that for 0 to 3 years of experience, we should make a single page resume and basically keep changing the resume as per the job description. Bit changes, not whole resume, bit changes as per the as per the job description. And as basically nowadays, mostly companies are using the applicant tracking system. So in that, if the keywords are matching, then only your profile is shortlisted and that thing happens. And what is the thing regarding projects? So regarding projects, what we can do is we can mention whatever the stack is there, whatever stacks we have used in projects, in technologies, HTML, CSS, React, suppose, Node, MongoDB, everything should be mentioned clearly, and
Mhm.
a bit about your project in a line, accomplished it, what you have made, and then what is required is a GitHub link, and what is required is a deploy link. So
Got it.
we can deploy our projects on any basically free site. We don't need to purchase any domain or anything. So I used to
Mhm.
deploy on Heroku, Netlify is there, Firebase deployment is
Mhm.
there, GitHub deployment is there. So this all sources are there of free deployment. So I use that only.
Got it. Got it. So ideally, just to, I mean, the very important part, I think it's a very important thing which you mentioned also, like given that application tracking system, right? It's very important that you need to mention those keywords, like whatever the stack they have used or what are the languages they have worked on, or whatever highlights that. I mean, again, resume scanning is going to be for hardly 10 seconds. Even 10 seconds also doesn't happen, even if it's in the hands of an hiring manager as well. So it's very important that those keywords are explicitly mentioned when explaining that. And apart from that GitHub profile link, and also once you have deployed it somewhere on the some free site or some open source may, if you have actually deployed it, right, having that link is going to be much more beneficial and impressive as well, showing that what is the amount of hard work you have done in that project, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
Perfect,
everything should be
perfect,
mentioned that as well.
perfect. So I mean, if I ask you, right, how many projects overall you have worked on in the web development when you are learning the web development?
12, 13, I guess. but
Okay, okay.
but keeping to the constraint, basically I suggest some friends. Basically after I was selected, I suggested some friends. So I saw that many people are mentioning that 6 projects are there in the resume, and they are taking two pages. Then their resume won't be shortlisted. So it is recommended mention at least 3 best projects, 3 or maximum 4. If the content of the resume is less, then go to 4, but 3 is the best thing. Every point's covered, GitHub link is there, posted link is there.
Absolutely. I think that's a very valid point as well, Dhanush, if you ask me, like, as per my understanding as well, right? It You work on 12 to 13 projects as a practice on your own, basically. Like, you work to skill up yourself and to be in touch with the concepts. You keep doing that. But whereas when you're mentioning or when you're showcasing the best projects, right? Like 3 to 4 best out of those 12 to 13 should be good enough. And you should be thorough with those 3 to 4 projects as well, because I'm pretty sure even during your interview, were you asked any questions based on those projects?
Yeah. So interview, mostly I had given many interviews as I applied around 100 plus companies. I had applied
Okay,
60,
okay.
70 interviews I had given, 60 to
Oh,
65
okay.
approximately. So projects and whatever the skills you have mentioned in the resume, the interview goes around that only. And one thing I also wanted to mention regarding resume. So what you can do in the projects. So when you have made a project, deployment is there, GitHub hosting is there. One more additional thing is that you can basically record a video of a demo explaining the process, how you did it, and how it is working in a 4 to 5 minutes video maximum. So it also reflects the profile code.
Got it, got it. I think we have one question, Dhanush, like from Vikas, right? He was asking about, can you just repeat the deployment website? Whatever you mentioned, right now, can you just repeat that?
First is Heroku, second is
Okay,
Firebase, third is Netlify, fourth is GitHub.
got it, got it. I hope, Vikas, I hope that must be clear. Heroku and Firebase. Uh, I'm sorry,
Netlify,
sorry,
Netlify,
95. Okay, and then GitHub,
and
basically.
GitHub.
Got it, got it. These are the
Any
four
of
names,
them can
because
use.
yeah, sure. You were saying something, Dhanush.
Any of the four websites can be used, and every website is having some limit basically to deploy it. So there are, I have given the 4 names for many projects you can deploy according to the
Got
capacity of each.
got it, got it. Makes sense. Perfect, perfect. We have one other question as well, Dhanush. Probably I'll just read the question. Probably I'll see if we can answer it or not. How to get a job as an Android developer in product-based companies? Currently, I'm working with Wipro as an associate analyst, basically. Uh,
So I cannot be the best, but I had done Android in my college. But
mhm,
you need to, simple tip is there that you need to develop good projects, and if possible, my friends were there. So if possible, try to go on Play Store and then publish that project, that Android Studio
mhm.
project. Then it will be beneficial. You can showcase it to the interviewer, and it will be more beneficial that time.
True, absolutely. For an Android developer, I think there's already an open source platform which is very widely used as such. I think Play Store is a good idea. But apart from that, probably I think this was asked by Prajapati Pratik, if I'm correct. But apart from that, right, one other thing, maybe irrespective of the profile, Dhanush, I would ideally want. I mean, I'm a bit curious to understand as well. Given that you mentioned that you almost applied for 100 plus companies, and you have also given around 60 to 70 interviews, basically, if I'm correct. 60 plus interviews around, you have
Yeah.
mentioned that. So
Yes.
based, I mean, this is a good amount of experience actually for anyone going for an interview, right? That's a good amount of experience. And can you just give a broad idea of what are the kind of skill sets that is expected out of a product company? Maybe this will help Prajapati to understand, irrespective of Android developer or web developer, right? What do they
Mhm.
test? What did they test you during the interview, or what did you understand, or what did you observe during those interviews? Can you just share some tips on that side?
Okay. Yeah. So basically, first means regarding the process you're asking means what all things
Yes, yes,
what all skills can be tested, right?
yes,
So
exactly.
skills can be related. First is your technical related to projects, any projects, basically any field is there. Data science is also there, Android is also there, SD is there, many fields are there. So first you will be tested on what your knowledge is there, right? The projects and all. And then basically what you can add on people expects in a product based company is OS,
Okay.
operating system, then DBMS,
Mm-hmm.
and then system design also. And the person
Mm-hmm.
also needs to basically be a good problem solver in all.
Mm-hmm.
So this skills, and they can also basically test on basically normal rounds also. They can test on interpersonal skills also. Many companies tested me on interpersonal while I was doing the coding, checking my patience. So we need to be calm and basically answer the questions correctly. And patience
Mm-hmm.
and being polite to the interviewer and being calm while the interview is the main key. And taking the interviewer on basically interview on your strong points only. So you need to say whatever the strong points you are confident about it. So what I can give
Mm-hmm.
a basic tip is in start, mostly people ask, tell me something about yourself. So this is the point where you can take your interview. If I mention all the stats in there, whatever I am knowing it really well, the interview will be going in that direction. So that is the key question to convert your interview also, the start question.
Got it. Got it. That's a good idea, I would say. I mean, you should be the driver of your interview, basically. Like you should showcase. I think one of the thing which you mentioned also, your resume should also drive the interview. Like three projects which you are good at, and three best of them, right? Whatever you
Yeah,
worked on, showcase that so that you can talk more about that, or you actually give them an idea like what you are good at, basically. Suppose that's how the interview. I mean, you can showcase the best of yourself in during that 30 minutes or 1 hour interview, right? And
right,
then that gives a better understanding to the interviewer as well, if I'm correct.
right. So
Yes,
he
yes.
knows what he needs to ask. Main focus comes
Hmm.
on that tech or that perspective.
Sure. Sure, Dhanush. I think that's a very good tip, actually. Other than that, we have a couple of questions. Probably we'll take that up and as we discuss further as well.
Yeah.
So we have, I'm not really sure about the name, but I had 2 years experience in CTS on Spring backend and microservices. What is the best way for me to get a job in product-based company? I'm currently serving notice period. I think I'm not sure about the name. Probably I'll just summarize whatever we are discussing, right? I think those are all relevant points to him. I mean,
Yeah.
ideally, he should start with the data structures and algorithms, plan it out, and fill up his gaps first of all. And then, I mean, if it is, I think he's already working on Spring backend and microservices. So he must be a backend developer. So you should strengthen that first of all. And then apart from that, as you rightly mentioned, for a product-based company, it's very important that operating system, system design, and DBMS concepts are going to be very crucial because you're expected to work on an end-to-end product basically. So that's where these all things going to come into the picture.
Yes.
So he should skill himself, I mean, upskill himself on these areas as well, if I'm
Right.
correct.
Right.
Yes,
And
I
as
think.
he mentioned
Yeah.
that he is serving a notice period. So I will
Mhm.
definitely recommend him to apply as many companies as he can.
Mhm.
To apply it most and take interviews also. If he is not prepared, also basically in interviews also there is a learning. If you are not cracking the interview, you get a learning. See
Yes,
what you
yes.
went wrong, and then taking that learning in a positive way and basically get a point in the next resume.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dhanush. That absolutely makes sense. Also, one other thing I would suggest is, I mean, apart from what Dhanush has suggested, also I would suggest like one of the codes in the description, right? You have a link as well. So where we are actually providing a short course for the interview preparation itself. Like, given that you're already on notice period, right? This is a very short course, like 3 to 4 weeks of time. If you spend, you'll be in a position to start attending the interviews. And as Dhanush also mentioned, it's a very good thing to start attending the interviews as soon as possible, so that you get habituated to it and you get tuned to it. And in a way, like after 2 to 3 interviews, you become very comfortable and you will be in a position to. Uh, I mean, that experience is going to be very important. I mean, more than the skill set or more than the knowledge, most of the people, what happens is like, though they have the knowledge, they are not able to present it to the interviewer. That's why they lack the
Like
confidence. Correct. Yes, yes, absolutely. Perfect. I'll go with another question from Anil Dhanush. While preparing for interviews, should I go deep of problem solving, like building code chair for code force profile, or it's enough to be good at fundamentals of data structures and algorithms? Any thoughts on this?
you can basically, if you have more time, you can go and build the profiles. Because not bad, not bad idea. So you can do it side by side, but keeping a whole perspective. As in interview, only your data structures and algorithms are not tested. It is tested in a whole level, data structures, algorithms, your projects, and everything. Because if you do code chef and all, it will take more time because problems are there, 1 star, 2 star contests are there. So you can do it parallelly. As I told you, I used to solve the problems daily. So do it, but be on the track also to develop the projects, learn the stacks which you will actually get the job. Because interview involves all of these things. So you cannot concentrate only on one thing. So otherwise what will happen? 1, 2 rounds will be cracked and then remaining will be left out. So you need to
Absolutely.
focus on whole perspective.
Absolutely, Dhanush. I think that's a good idea. I mean, that's a good suggestion if you ask me. Like, I mean, as you rightly mentioned, right? There are 3 to 4 rounds of interview for any company as such. If you are trying to break down, DSA will be done in the first 2 rounds of interview at the max, if I'm correct.
Roughly. Every company
Every company.
general process is there. Starting DSA is there, and then the round goes on with projects and other rounds.
So, I mean, DSA will help you to crack the first 2 rounds of interview, but when you go to the third round, you need to talk about your projects or you need to talk about the technology you worked on or framework, whatever you worked on, right? You need to talk about that basically. Absolutely. And code forces and code chef is more about like too deep into the problem solving. They are good to have, but not a must have for a to crack the product based company, if I'm correct.
Yeah. They will help
Got
you to crack the interviews, but not much
it.
because as I told you, you have to have a whole perspective.
Got it. Got it.
You can basically side by
Sure.
side, you can build the profiles also. That is good enough. That is improving your problem solving skills as a whole. But while if you want to crack in a 1, 2 months, so you need to see the whole perspective, not the
Yes.
one side.
Absolutely. I mean, based on the time again, you would say if you have good
Time.
amount of time, probably 1 year down the line, if you want to go for a product company, yes, you have good amount of time and you can spend your time on the deep
Yeah.
amount of problem solving and all. If I'm
For
correct.
college students and recently graduates, they can give time to this stuff and they basically move.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense, Anush. I'll go to the next question maybe. This is from, let me check. Yes, this is from Vikram. He's just quickly asking about the important topics in operating system and computer networking for interviews, basically.
Okay. So operating system bankers algorithms, the algorithms are there. Uh, Round robin, all the algorithms are there. The algorithms you can search it, you will get a list of that thing. See, related to CN, what you can do is computer networks. What you can do is you can learn about DHCP, some networking protocols, fundamentals. Just not go in depth. Just learn what is networking, how it works. Because in interview they might ask. Computer networks is least, but OS can be asked. Mostly the algorithms. You can search about the best algorithms in OS and then take down. And basically, if you want, if you have time, you can also solve that problems of bankers algorithms or round robin or anything.
Sure, Dhanush. I think that should be helpful. Uh, whereas one other question we have from Shiva Reddy, basically, he's asking that maybe this is a kind of common question from many of the people who are applying as well. Just wanted to know your thoughts as well. I have applied for many companies in last 30 days, and I don't see any response from the recruiters. May I know what is missing here?
30 days, actually, it is a less period, I can say. Means it
Okay,
takes time. It takes time for this process because many companies are there. They see your resume after, I think so, 2 months also. It
okay,
takes
okay.
time. It takes time for this process, but we have to keep the hope and start applying. And also, it also depends on which company you're applying. It requires an immediate joining or it requires a joining after 2 months. So that also concept plays in the back end. But what should be our perspective is to keep on applying the companies, keep on applying, and keep a hope that it will come. The reply will come. Otherwise, if the reply is not coming, if you have applied for 2 weeks or 1 week, if 2 week, I'm assuming 2 weeks, so you can just follow up with the HR or whoever you have applied. If you have applied directly, then you cannot do it. I know that, but
Mhm.
alternative is there. Keep on applying the companies. That is a solution.
Yes. Absolutely. You would say, I mean, given your experience and given your journey also, right? You would say 30 days is not, I mean, you have also heard from companies where you applied 2 months back or something like that, and you got a call from those companies, if I'm correct.
Yeah, I had applied in Jan, I think, and I had got
Okay.
the call in March end now of that company. So
Okay.
you can see almost how many differences there. So I picked that call and told them it is not possible now. It is already done. I have selected and I'm working for it.
Yes, yes. I
So
mean,
it happens this way also.
absolutely. And it also doesn't depend that, I mean, it also depends, as you rightly mentioned, right? Even the company's requirement, whether it is an immediate joining or whether it is like an yearly hiring or whatever the plan is there, right? Based on that, they also approach you. It's not like you have played it and then and there you need not expect a call, but you should be
Mm.
persistent while applying for the jobs, if I'm correct, during this
Yes,
transition phase.
yes.
Makes
You need to
sense. Makes
apply.
sense.
You have to do the research. You have to apply to many career sites. If you want
Mm-hmm,
to
mm-hmm,
target some companies, means not target some companies, I will say, suggest target many
mm-hmm,
companies, make a list, and then go through the LinkedIn page, do the careers research. And if you find someone is working in that company, so you can
mm-hmm.
ask for a referral. The process is little bit faster than a
Yeah.
normal process. And if you are not knowing someone in the company, so many people are there who are requesting for a referral through LinkedIn. So you can try that also if possible.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I think just to summarize what you mentioned also, right? I think you also earlier mentioned about follow-ups and also LinkedIn, or I mean, if at all some other ways like referrals is one of the area you mentioned. Like if you know someone, or it could be like through LinkedIn also you can approach people, like you can ask them, I mean, if they have any openings or not, ideally, or different other means also you can try it out, not just a portals as such, but you can try it out with a different other ways and be consistent on it. Like don't lose a hope, because there's definitely a possibility that after 3 months or 2 months also you might get a call from the company you applied for. Absolutely. Makes sense. Uh, One other question from Vikram, Dhanush. How many days do we require to learn DSA? He's asking in terms of hours per day as well, actually.
It actually depends from person to person how much time he has in a day. So if you are
Mhm,
not having any, means you are not working or individually doing it, so you
mhm,
can basically focus on 7 to 8 hours minimum in a day. If you are
mhm,
working, so I did 2 to 3 hours. It is manageable. If you want to do it, it is manageable. Or minimum you can focus on 1 hour a day, and then focus mainly on weekends.
mhm, mhm. So overall, if you ask me, like around 15 hours per week is something someone has to allot for the DSA
Roughly,
preparation.
yeah, roughly.
15 hours per week, and it's kind of like we're stretching it for 2 to 3 months and a consistent practice after that as well. two
Yeah,
to 3 months to strengthen their basics, if I'm correct, and then they can continuously practice on that,
yeah.
right? Perfect, Dhanush. That makes sense. Uh, Perfect. I think that gives an idea. Uh, there is one other question from Dev Jagrat. I have experience in cloud computing, currently working on AWS, and had previously worked on VMware. How should I proceed to get a job in product-based company in cloud field? Uh, Probably just wanted to reframe that question, Dhanush. Just wanted to understand: is there any opportunity for the people from who has a background of cloud, right, in product-based companies as such?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely there's an opportunity, and definitely there's a good scope for them to, I mean, as you mentioned, whatever the process like DSA, go through the DSA, strengthen your concepts with OS system design, DBMS, and then whatever technology you're working on, whether it is Android developer or whether it is web development or whether it is cloud application or whatever it is, right? Strengthen the technology and understanding on that and apply for the product companies, if I'm correct.
Yeah, it is an add-on actually. I will one thing I will say,
Mhm.
it is an add-on. If you are knowing cloud
Okay.
technologies, it is an add-on for the companies because all the companies are moving towards the cloud now. Everyone is knowing about that,
Okay.
using the stack of
Mhm.
AWS, Google Cloud. So people are using
Mhm.
Azure. So people are moving towards that. So that is a benefit for you. Use it wisely.
Got it. Makes sense. Makes sense. Absolutely. I think we have good number of questions coming up, Dhanush. Probably we'll take a couple of more questions. Uh, so Saloni is asking about should be open to only one technology and restrict ourselves. Like in the previous company, if I worked on Python, then new company needs Java. Should I go with the offer?
So learning a new technology is there is no problem in that. But what will you feel basically what you wanted? If you want, if you have basically wanted a job in Python, so you should be fixed in that stack. And suppose you are learning Python, so go in that depth basically, mm, like data science is there and many other things are related to Python. So you can go in that depth and find a job related to it. If you're having no problem in basically switching the technology, so then you can go with Java. But if you see what will be beneficial for you, not in basically 1 year, see the long term thing.
Mhm.
Because the profile which you are choosing, it will be there for you till long term. That
Absolutely.
matters.
Absolutely. I mean, as you say that switching out the language or switching to another technology is not a major risk as far as it's actually helping you to build that long-term career and your profile basically that's a good idea to switch. There's no problem on that if I'm correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Perfect, Dhanush. I think that answers your question, Saloni. Then Mrunal, I'll get to your question. Mrunal's question is this, Dhanush, maybe. I have an experience of 1.7 years as a hybrid application developer. I've created 3 applications from scratch and 2 to 3 dummy projects which are hosted on GitHub. Anything else I need to work on?
Can you repeat? Sorry.
Yeah. Uh, I have an experience of 1.7 years as a hybrid application developer. I have created 3 applications from scratch and 2 to 3 dummy projects which are hosted on GitHub. Anything else I need to work on?
Yeah, it is good according to me. But as you need to keep the track of DS, as I already mentioned, your projects and all are going good. Keep the tracks, and as you mentioned that it is hosted, that is also beneficial. Just keep the hands on DS, and if you get time, learn OS and system design also if possible. To to be on the mark.
Sure, Dhanush. I think Vikram, sorry, it's Mrinal if I'm correct. If you ask me, like, the course, right? Whatever the course offering which we have in the description link as well, right? Which will help you to quickly prepare in a month for the data structures and algorithms, basically. Like, as you're applying for the interviews, right? You can also quickly prepare within 3 to 4 weeks over there, and you can get ready for the interviews. Apart from that, everything else, as per you mentioned, as per whatever you mentioned, right, that should be good enough for you to go ahead for the interviews as such. Okay, I think we have a couple of more questions, Dhanush. I have around 3.8 years of experience in service-based companies. Okay, this is a good question, an interesting one. Am I too late for switching to the product-based company?
No,
This
there
person
is.
has around 3.8 years. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I'm saying that this is Utkarsh. Utkarsh has 3.8 years of experience. And he's asking like, does product companies do accept people with that level of experience or not ideally?
So 3.8 years, it is not late. Basically, anything, if you want to make a switch, there is no late for anything as such, I can
Mhm.
say. If you wish you want to switch it to service to product, this is the perfect age and you have been in the stack. But you need to search the job according to the stats which you have been doing from 3 to 8 years, because the product based company which you are applying will be having an experience that he is having an experience of 3 years or 3.8 years, and this person has an ability to do so much, and he will be having a good expectations and good outcome. So there will
Yes,
be good chances also, seeing that perspective.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, when compared to 1 year or less than 1 year or 2 years experienced people, the expectations could be a bit less basically, given that they are on the growth path of their career. But whereas when someone 4 years or 5 years experience, the expectations will be more from the interviewer as well, basically.
Right.
And I mean, one of the, I think, Utkarsh doubt is as well is that, right? Whether there is an acceptance at product-based companies or not for the more experienced people, ideally. And as you mentioned, right, there is acceptance, if I'm correct.
Right, because you can go in any job portal and any website of any careers. There are openings of this year's age. The many people are having the restriction of directly 5 years, 3 years.
Okay. Okay.
So freshers cannot apply there in that case.
Yes. Yes.
So
Definitely.
there are
So
openings, so
acceptance
there
is
is
there.
a chance
Yeah.
basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Dhanush. I think that makes sense. So Utkarsh, I hope that clarifies your question. Okay. Okay. I think Reshma, probably you can check it out. I think Reshma's question is there any openings in the Siemens or any other product companies? I had 2 years of experience in service-based company. Reshma, I'm pretty sure you should be able to check it in even the Naukri portal or any other portals, right? You should definitely try it out and check it out because any suggestions on that, Dhanush? Like, I mean, from Siemens side, like, is there any portal or is there any way where she can
Yeah,
apply?
every company is having the portals. Careers portal is there. In fact, Naukri.com is also there. So many jobs, every job is listed on Naukri.com. So they can visit there, LinkedIn and career site. So they can go. The three are there according to me.
Sure. Even she can try her for Siemens openings, right? You can definitely go to the Siemens website and careers page over there. You will be able to apply over there. Uh, okay, I'll go ahead with the next few questions. I show you a best free source to learn operating systems.
Sorry?
Best free source to learn operating system concepts.
Free source means free learning tool or anything. I don't know.
Free learning source. I mean, some open resource or something
Okay,
like that.
okay. So two, three YouTube channels were there basically. First, I will prefer Free Code Camp is there. It is free for learning. Free Code Camp I will recommend. Privacy Media is there. Two, which I usually used to use that thing. Many concepts are there. They keep up to the mark courses and basically up to the mark. Basically, technology is changing, so they basically give the videos according to that. First is Free Code Camp, and then second is Privacy Media, which
Got
I
it.
prefer.
Perfect. I think that answers your question, Aishwarya. And then, how would work-life balance difference? Okay, this is an interesting question. How would work-life balance difference in service versus product companies, or is it always depends on the project you assign?
No ways. Work like basically in service, you have to just do the same set of work. Basically, if you have heard, persons get frustrated doing that same work. If you work every day on a same tool or anything, so then basically you
Mm-hmm.
will feel that what I am doing, what is going on, what next. So in product-based company, one thing new comes that every day you will get a new challenge. You have to learn about it, do some innovations, and make a new thing, basically facing the challenges. And same thing also, like in our life, challenges come, not like this COVID situation is there. This is a challenge to us, and again the cases are increasing. So basically facing the challenge and how we are overcoming is the main thing, and balancing the work life. If you enjoy working, then work life is balanced, basically, I can say in simple terms.
Absolutely. Makes sense, Anush. Yep. Perfect. I think we are done with the questions, but just before, before wrapping it up, right? Before ending our session as well, just wanted to ask you, like, as you mentioned, right? I mean, typical time for anyone to, I mean, the journey. I'll talk more about your journey, not in general, but more journey, more about you. Like you started, like you realized around 6 to 7 months back that you need to switch from service to product company so that you'll have a better career growth, and then you started preparing DSA, and then at least for 2 months on DSA, and then you worked on web development and multiple projects on web development, if I'm correct. And then and consistent practice on the DSA is what helps you to improve your problem solving for you to crack those interviews, if I'm correct.
Yeah.
And may I know, like, when did you start applying for the jobs as such? Like in this journey, right? When did you start?
Actually, precisely, if I sum it up,
Yes. Yes.
DSA I started when the lockdown began. Basically, I will
Okay.
tell you
Okay.
in brief. From August, I started applying.
Okay. Okay.
Yes, then basically first I built up the stack, then web, and
Hmm.
then basically this. And in August, I applied 2 3 months later. In October, I got the offer of one
Hmm.
company. Then
Hmm.
I that so just started the notice period because in my previous company 3 months were there, and then I
Hmm.
kept on searching, and then basically I landed up the offer in this company.
Got it. Got it. Even that is one of the hurdle as well, if I'm correct. Your past company has around 3 months of notice period, if I'm correct.
That is why 60 companies and very few offers I got. The reason was that 3 months notice period, anyone is not ready to wait for a fresher.
Got
Anyone
it.
is not ready.
Got it.
So you have to convince him, you have to show him what skills are there, and then
Mm-hmm. Got it. Got it. Makes sense. Absolutely. I think that's one of the hurdle as well. I think we haven't spoken about that, but though you have this bigger hurdle like 3 months of notice period, you were actually giving more interviews and you try to convince them, and then you crack this. I mean, say Siemens interview, if I'm correct.
so first I basically took a company for a job security perspective. See what I will be doing after 3 months. That is why I left the company, taking a company, and then I kept on starting applying, and the process went.
Got it. Got it. Makes sense. Perfect. Perfect, Anush. I think we are almost done then with the questions and whatever the queries this audience have as such. But before we end up the session, right? Do you want to suggest anything, or do you want to? I mean, given that you have gone through this process for almost 1 year, I think it's been almost 1 year. So, do you want to say something to the people who are applying or preparing for the interviews of product companies?
Yeah, definitely. So, guys, there is a thing that you will be, as one question was asked, 30 days, you have not got the reply. So, there is a chance of losing the hope. What should I do? I am doing the right way. And people who are serving the notice period, they are in a threat. What after that notice period is done? But we need to keep a positive hope and just keep on applying and do preparing for the interviews and take a learning from that interviews. That will only help you because if you take the things in a positive way and have a positive mindset, that is really important to crack the interview and go into the company. So positive attitude and positive mindset really matters a lot.
Perfect. Perfect, Anush. I think that's a good piece of advice to be positive and I mean, clear all the hurdles, whatever you come across, basically. Absolutely. That's perfect. And otherwise, just to inform to all the people who are attending or preparing for the product company interviews, right? For DSA, I mean, especially for the SD roles or software development roles, if you're preparing for that, right? There is a link in the description where you can actually click on and go for the course. It's a very short course for you to quickly prepare with your DSA skills, and also for you to quickly prepare for the interviews. I mean, for the questions asked in interviews, basically. So this will help you to crack those product-based companies DSCA part as such. That's going to be very, as Danush also mentioned, as it's going to be one of the first step and a very critical step as well. So that's where you can prepare in this short-term course as such. And this is more about practice, not as you work and as you practice, you can learn more as such. And this is not to fill out your gaps, or this is not to fill out your basics as such. This short course is mostly towards the practice. I mean, the last moment practice which you need to do before your interviews to be confident and to attempt those interviews as such. Perfect. I think that was a great information session from you, Dhanush. I think that was a great journey you had in the last 1 year. I think
Yeah.
during the COVID, I mean, almost 60 interviews and 60 virtual interviews, right? I can just imagine how hectic it used to be, basically.
Yeah, and with the job.
Perfect, perfect. Yes, absolutely. With the job, with the preparation, and with these interviews, right? I can understand what you're being going through. But congratulations on making the transition, and all the best for your future as well. Yep.
And everyone can
Thank
do
you,
it. It is
Dhanush.
possible. It is possible. Everyone can do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. As you mentioned, just be positive and keep that positive mindset as you apply for the companies. Absolutely. Thank you, Dhanush. Thanks for the session and thanks for the information. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.